Some 800 million people crowd the continent of Africa. But here, and over large areas of South Asia, 80% still earn their livelihood from agriculture and natural resources. Over the decades, hundreds of millions of pounds have been poured into research schemes intended to raise and sustain yields and incomes for these people, but to disappointing effect. So it's logical to ask, do farmers know of this research? And if they do, is it what they need?
Well, the overwhelming majority of farmers in this country, particularly from the developing sector, are aware that research is being done, and indeed the challenge is that it is not necessarily filtering effectively on the ground to where the farmers are.
I'm aware that research is being done. However, it doesn't seem to filter to reach us. It may be reaching to certain places, but we don't see the results, or we don't see it. It's not tangible to us yet.
I know that there's research that has been done to increase yields in farming, for instance in pig farming, but it is very difficult to get hold of that type of information.
As regards passing over information to the farmers, there is actually need for that information to be properly packaged at the research level. There is also the need to ensure that that information is actually attractive to the farmers. It should be addressing the immediate needs of the farmers in solving certain critical problems.
There would be other benefits too. Chris Balia is a grain merchant looking for new methods to cut the costs of his grain drying process.
If they can be reduced to, say, 40–60% of what they are today, we would in turn take back a portion of that saving to the farmers, thereby increasing the farmers' income, improving our turnover. Everybody goes home a winner.
So why has all this research not found its way to those who need it?
Everybody seems to be working in isolation. Researchers determine the problem, conduct the research by developing the technologies, and then send the technologies to Extension. Extension was supposed to send the technologies to the farmers. Extension has been very, very weak in different countries in Africa.
Extension workers have in the past tended to be simply suppliers of information, as purveyors of information from research to the farmers. But this need not be the case. It is important that our farmers actively participate both in the research process as well as demanding what they need in terms of meeting their own needs.
Where the demands for extension services are becoming more and more specific and very broad, although broad, but more and more specific, from technical, but at times market information, but as well as financial information and so on and so forth. We believe, therefore, that privatized extension becomes more and more relevant as opposed to the public extension system, which are generally static.
Most of the technologies that researchers have developed have not been taken up. First and foremost, the majority are developed in isolation. We have not included the farmers and capacitated them to inform the research agenda, and that is important.
RIU, Research into Use, aims to do far more than merely take down existing research information from the shelf and pass it on. Its main objective is to promote interaction between the researchers and the end users, a sort of push and pull approach.
On the push side, the way information from research is packaged to make it more easily accessible to users. And on the pull side, the way that users of information pull down that information to convert into knowledge that they would use for the innovation processes that improve their livelihoods.
To me, innovative systems approach that RIU intends to use is about 4 key things. It's about poor people, it's about knowledge sharing and learning, it's about institutions, changing them where we need to change, and finally about creating economic opportunities for improving the livelihoods of poor people.
For the first time, we're thinking of bringing various entities, research, extension, NGO, policymakers together. That's one uniqueness of this program, that people will not be working in isolation, but they will come together to determine the problem and to solve the problem.
Another unique feature of the Research into Use program is that we are implementing this program in 2 continents, Asia and Africa. 2 continents that have a lot to learn from each other, and to me that's going to make the learning happen a lot faster, and we'll be able to build onto the framework which eventually we can use as a blueprint for moving into various countries.
The challenge for the RIU, as I see it, is how to tailor the different strands of the program in countries that have different policy environments, have systems that are different and working to different levels of efficiency, and are developed to different degrees in the area of getting research into use.
So I believe that the Research into Use program will fit in perfectly into the policies and programs of the ministry, because already it is something that we are practicing. Well, maybe using different language, but it's my strong belief and my strong conviction that the Research into Use will be very beneficial to this country.
I believe that the framework that the Research into Use program has developed will evolve over time. It's too early to talk about a blueprint, but there is a big opportunity of this developing into something that can be used in different countries. And the uniqueness of this is that we are working with Asia and Africa. So there are opportunities for learning and enhancing the framework so that 2-3 years down the line we can talk of developing a blueprint.